5 centuries ago, long before social media dating advice and relationship podcasts existed, a fallen Florentine diplomat sat alone in exile, convinced the world had already erased him. Niccolò Machiavelli was broke, unemployed, and publicly disgraced. Yet instead of sinking into resentment, he picked up a pen and wrote something so unsettling, so psychologically revealing, that the Catholic Church tried to suppress it, and rulers across Europe quietly chose never to mention his name again. Not because he promoted wrongdoing, but because he exposed it. Because he forced humanity to confront motivations we prefer to hide behind romance, morality, and virtue. For over 500 years, the same accusation has echoed. Machiavelli was manipulative, unethical, dangerous. But very few people have actually read what he wrote. Even fewer have truly understood it. Because his work was never really about kings, wars, or political games, it was about people. It was about the unspoken patterns that drive loyalty, attraction, betrayal, and emotional attachment. And today, one question echoes louder than ever. What did Machiavelli truly understand about women, relationships, and human nature that we still hesitate to admit? This video is not another cynical take on modern dating. It isn't a complaint, an ideology, or a weapon. It's an exploration. A journey into the psychological forces that shape attraction, commitment, and emotional investment. And according to Machiavelli, there is one thing, one driving motive, powerful enough to explain why love thrives, why relationships collapse, and why human behavior follows the same hidden patterns even centuries later. Why passion ignites and fades, and why women choose certain men while walking away from others. We are going to uncover it. But first, you must learn to see the world through Machiavelli's eyes, without the comforting illusions that usually protect you. To understand Machiavelli's relevance to female psychology, you must understand why he unsettled the world. He refused to describe people as they wished to be seen. He described them as they actually behaved. While others celebrated honor, loyalty, and moral duty, Machiavelli observed a harsher truth. When circumstances changed, affection shifted. When resources vanished, loyalty followed. When danger appeared, betrayal often emerged. And he didn't condemn this reality. He simply recorded it. He believed that human beings, regardless of gender or social position, are guided not by ideals, but by incentives, by survival, by emotional and material benefit, by whatever improves their life and safeguards their future. This included kings, soldiers, clergy, lovers, friends, husbands, and yes, women. Not because women are uniquely self-focused, but because all humans are. Yet Machiavelli noticed something society desperately tried to conceal. Women's motivations were judged far more harshly, even though they followed the same universal psychological laws as men. Society insisted women were driven purely by romance, morality, and devotion. Machiavelli saw past that narrative. He understood that women, like men, make decisions through internal calculations, conscious or unconscious, about risk, reward, safety, fulfillment, and opportunity. And this honesty made him unsettling. Because once you remove the illusion that love is unconditional or permanent, you are forced to see relationships not as fairy tales, but as fragile arrangements sustained only while they remain mutually beneficial. We live in a world that sells love as destiny, chemistry, or emotional mystery. But Machiavelli understood something more grounded. Desire has context. Attraction is not random, affection is not free, commitment is never guaranteed. People remain where their needs are fulfilled and leave where they are not. This applies especially to women, not because they are calculating or manipulative, but because historically the consequences of choosing the wrong partner were greater for them than for men. Women have long faced higher biological, social, and economic vulnerability. For most of history, a woman's survival, safety, reputation, and freedom depended heavily on the quality of her partner. So female psychology evolved around evaluation, discernment, and risk awareness long before modern dating culture existed. This doesn't make women cold, it makes them intelligent, it makes them strategic, it makes them aware. Machiavelli argued that when a person's well-being depends on another, they cannot afford to choose based on idealism alone. They must choose based on outcomes. Beneath every love story, every relationship, every romantic fantasy, he saw a quiet negotiation taking place. Will this partnership improve my life or place it at risk? Women throughout history learned to ask this question instinctively. Modern women still ask it, though today they may call it compatibility, emotional security, or long-term stability. Many men hear this and feel unsettled because it challenges the belief that love alone should be enough. But Machiavelli would argue the opposite. It makes love real. It makes it earned rather than assumed. When Machiavelli wrote that people remain loyal only while it serves them, critics called him harsh. But he wasn't promoting selfishness. He was revealing its inevitability. Humans care deeply, but not endlessly. There is always a limit. A threshold where emotional cost outweighs emotional return. Look at relationships that collapsed after job loss, illness, financial pressure, or personal change. Look at friendships that faded once convenience disappeared. Look at marriages that ended not because love vanished, but because expectations shifted. Machiavelli would ask, were these betrayals or simply human nature revealing itself? Now apply this to women. Women are often told their role is endless sacrifice, to forgive without limit, to remain loyal no matter the cost, to give more than they receive. Society glorifies female self-denial while criticizing female standards. Machiavelli would call this manipulation, a way to control women by redefining virtue. He believed the opposite. That preserving self-interest is a sign of psychological strength, not moral weakness. That a woman who protects her emotional, physical, and financial well-being is not selfish, but rational. And that any relationship requiring a woman to erase her needs is not love, but dependency disguised as devotion. This perspective changes everything. It shifts the question from, why do women want what they want, to why wouldn't they? Across centuries, cultures, and social systems, one pattern repeats. A woman stays when a relationship enriches her life, and she leaves when it diminishes it. That enrichment may come through emotional connection, safety, admiration, partnership, intellectual stimulation, physical compatibility, shared ambition, or a sense of purpose, of being seen and supported. It is rarely shallow despite common stereotypes. In fact, Machiavelli would argue it is rooted in a high level of emotional intelligence. Yet men who misunderstand this pattern often feel blindsided. They assume consistency is guaranteed once love is expressed. They believe effort can slow down once commitment is secured. They confuse initial attraction with permanent loyalty. And when a woman begins to withdraw, they interpret it as irrational, sudden, or unprovoked. Machiavelli would say the signals were always present. The incentive shifted, the balance changed, the emotional return declined. And because women are shaped both biologically and socially to sense instability sooner than men, they respond earlier and with greater clarity. This is why separation feels shocking to those who never examined the foundation of the relationship. They believed love was an unbreakable promise. Machiavelli understood something different. Love is a living agreement, and like any agreement, it requires ongoing value to remain valid. And now, after centuries of denial, reinterpretation, and moral panic, we arrive at the truth society still hesitates to say out loud. After the myths are stripped away, after romantic illusions dissolve, after psychological defenses fall apart, Machiavelli's insight emerges with striking simplicity. Women do not want perfection, wealth, dominance, beauty, status, or fantasy, not universally, not at the core. These are surface variables that shift with time and circumstance. What women want, what they ultimately seek, is security. Not only financial security, but emotional security. Psychological security. Relational security. The security of being understood rather than controlled. The security of being respected rather than merely tolerated. The security of knowing that loyalty will not turn into exploitation. That affection will not fade into neglect. That commitment will not decay into complacency. The security of choosing a partner who does not collapse under pressure, retreat from responsibility, or resent strength in others. The security of stability without stagnation. Passion without chaos. Connection without possession. Security does not mean protection from life. It means partnership within it. And when that security disappears, Machiavelli would say the relationship has already ended, whether either person is ready to admit it or not. This is not an accusation against women. It is a recognition of their wisdom. Because security is what makes love sustainable. Security allows vulnerability, intimacy, trust, and long-term emotional investment. Security is the foundation upon which desire, loyalty, and affection must be built. Machiavelli never claimed humans were incapable of love, nor that relationships are destined to fail. He argued they succeed only when they align with human nature rather than resist it. People, including women, remain loyal where loyalty provides meaning, fulfillment, dignity, and stability. Remove those, and loyalty dissolves. Understanding this does not make you cynical. It makes you prepared. It makes you grounded. It allows you to see relationships not as magical guarantees, but as shared responsibilities that require continuous effort. The world punished Machiavelli for speaking plainly, but the truth endured. And today, it offers clarity instead of fear. If you want lasting love, do not chase fantasy. Do not demand unconditional devotion. Do not rely solely on promises. Build security within yourself, within your life, within your relationship. Offer what sustains attachment, not just what ignites attraction. Because the one thing women want is the same thing all humans want. A partnership where their self-interest, identity, and future are protected rather than threatened. Once you understand that, you stop trying to be chosen and start becoming someone worth choosing. Welcome to the real world. It may be less romantic than the fairy tale, but it is the only world where love truly lasts.